The Braintree Board of Health meeting will now come to order. This is a meeting via Zoom meeting, May 14th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Present, Mary Beth McGrath, Department of Municipal Licenses and Inspections Director. Laurie Melchiona, Clerk, should be here momentarily, although at the present time she is not here. Dr. Philip Nettleman, Vice Chairman. Dr. Arthur Bergoli, Chairman.
So Dr. Bergoli, if I can step in at this point just to offer some instruction for the Zoom meeting. So the requirement for a Zoom meeting, you must make roll call votes on anything that you do. So even a roll call to announce that you're present in the meeting. So when you make motions, then I can go ahead and ask for the roll call for each different thing that you do. So okay. I will do that. So I will need a roll call for the call to order. And so Dr. Bergoli?
Here.
Dr. Nettleman?
Here.
Okay. So as we start the meeting, I do have the participants muted because the more people that are open mic, the more difficult it is to hear everyone. So if you have not muted your voice or your mic, please mute it. So that would be helpful. And as we go through the meeting per each individual applicant, I will unmute them so that they're able to speak.
I have no idea how to mute this, but
I can mute. No, the board members will not be muted so that you can interact with the participant.
okay, thank you.
The other individuals that are part of the meeting, they will be called by order on the agenda, and then I will unmute them so that they're able to speak. Anyone from the public that may be on the line, they can send a chat message, and then I can read that in for the board.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, Laurie, I am getting a chat message in from Laurie that let's see, I am here. Please allow video and audio. I'm not sure why she's not coming through. Let me see what I can do here. I have an assistant coming in.
Yep.
Laurie. Okay. So, Laurie, one of the things I mentioned was, as part of a Zoom meeting, we have to do a roll call vote. So Dr. Nettleman and Dr. Bergoli have already said yes, they are present. Can I do a roll call for present?
I am present.
Okay, so what I mentioned was that I have all of the board members unmuted and myself. I do not have participants in open mic because the more people on the open mic, the harder it is to hear.
Right.
So I will leave the board members unmuted as well as myself. And as you take up each individual applicant, I will unmute that applicant so that they would be able to speak. Anyone from the public that may be on the line, you will not be able to speak. However, you can submit a chat message through the system, and I will make sure that I review those chat messages and present them to the board. For each individual motion that you make, you need to make the person that's announcing the motion. For example, if Laurie is making the motion, I need you to say Laurie Melchiona making the motion. Dr. Nettleman, if you seconded, I need you to say Dr. Nettleman seconding the motion, and then I need to get a roll call from each of you on that motion. So that's how we'll proceed for each individual thing.
Okay.
Okay? Okay.
Board of Health meeting agenda, May 14th, 2020, 2 pages. Approval of meeting minutes, March 12th, 2020 is 3 pages. Have we had a moment to look over the meeting minutes from March 12th, 2020?
I move they be approved.
Dr. Nettleman.
Yep. Dr.
Laurie Melchiona, second.
Arthur Bergoli, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I need to get a roll call on that. So Dr. Bergoli, yes.
Yes.
Dr. Nettleman?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
List of complaints received from March 9th, 2020 through April 8th, 2021 page. This is educational only, informational only, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Any issues?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. New business. 1, request for variance of lifeguard provision. A, Royal Lake Village Condominium Trust, 3 Royal Lake Drive, 1-page request plus 13 supporting docs, regulation 1 page. Mary Beth?
This is a repeat request from Royal Lake Village Condominium. They're located just off of Pond Street on 3 Royal Lake Drive. The community is an adult-only community. The guests that they may have may be younger, but it's primarily, my knowledge, an adult-only community. The request is for their swimming pool. They do have a generally very low bather usage each day, both weekday and weekends throughout the summer. They normally operate from Memorial Day through Labor Day. You have in front of you in your packet the breakdown by date and day of the week and what the numbers were in that particular day. Now, please understand the pool is normally open from 10 in the morning until usually around 8 o'clock at night. So these individuals would be there at any time during that time that it's opened.
Mary Beth, Dr. Nettleman, is there anything different here from last year?
There is nothing different.
I move that it be approved.
And let me ask, Mary Beth, are you opening pools with COVID-19?
Well, that's one thing I did want to mention to the board. So I've made it perfectly clear to all of these applicants, the ones that are requesting variances, that although the board may be approving their variance request for a lifeguard provision, that does not mean that there will be an approval for them to open the pool. We are waiting for the instruction from the governor once he releases his plan on Monday regarding reopening. That will better direct the cities and towns as to what allowances will be given. The plan will be rolled out in a 4-phase approach, and within those phases will be industry sector requirements for when they would be able to open. So specific types of industries will be given certain timeframes for when they may open or not open. So we're instructing applicants that although they're receiving a variance from the board, they may not be open this season. If they do open, they must submit a plan, a business operating plan, to provide for workplace safety, sanitation, social distancing requirements, and facial covering requirements. That has to be submitted and approved before any operation can occur. So there's a lot of things that need to happen between Monday and a possible opening date, if that's allowed.
Great, thank you for that. So was there an approval?
So Dr. Nettleman made the motion.
Great, I second the motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay, and I need a roll call. Dr. Baroli?
Yes.
Dr. Nettleman?
Aye.
Laurie?
Yes.
Okay.
Aye.
B, Riverbend Condominium Trust, 399 Pond Street, 1-page request plus 19 supporting documents, regulation 1 page. Mary Beth.
This additionally is a request, it's a repeat request. The Riverbend Condominiums has been in the community for well over 20 years that I've been with the town. And each year they have requested a variance of their lifeguard provision. They are an adult community. Any young persons would, well, generally they're an adult community. Well, and most young persons would be guests of the residents of the community. You do have the 2019 pool log in front of you, and it's broken down again by month, by date, and the number of persons that were in attendance as bathers to the pool enclosure on that date. Their numbers are generally very low normally, and that's why they're requesting the repeat variance.
We'll put a motion forward to approve the Riverbend condominium request for a variance for their lifeguard provisions.
Okay.
Dr. Nettleman, second.
Okay.
Arthur, all in favor? Aye.
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 Roll call, Dr. Bergoli?
Yes.
Dr. Nettleman?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, please understand when you're approving these variances, that's with the understanding that they are required to have safety, they're required to have all of the safety equipment. They're required to have signage that also indicates warning, no lifeguard on duty, and all of the provisions required in the regulation for them to be able to operate the pool.
Correct.
Thank you. C, Landing 53 Apartments, 25 Commercial Street, 1-page request plus 14 supporting documents, regulation 1 page.
Yes. And present this evening is Anthony Ferris. He's the property manager for Landing 53, so he can also offer some comment to the board. If you, I can start and offer his presentation to you, what he's requesting, and then if you'd like him to speak, he has been unmuted so that he's able to speak. So this is the Landing 53 is a relatively new apartment complex in the Landing. So if you drive straight down Commercial Street, you'll basically drive right into it, which I don't recommend that you do that, but you'll drive right into it. They do have within their inner courtyard it's on the inside, it's outside, it's on the inner courtyard of the facility. They do have an in-ground swimming pool that they offer for their residents. This will be the second year of their lifeguard request. They did request it last year, which was the first year. And the board, expressed concerns because it was the first year and didn't have any documentation. So you really basically took that under advisement to see how they did. They came back and visited with you to provide more information. So they're back for the second year. They have provided the requested bather log report. And I'll let Tony make mention of what they're requesting to provide more information.
Hello. I don't really know. I know our first year we were, I wouldn't say 100% occupied because it was like we opened up in January of 2018. So 2019s were based on not a full year. We were full, I think, in November of 2018. So 2019's operations, we were between 95 to like 98% occupied. So that's probably the only difference from the previous years. Now we're actually pretty much full for the year of 2019. So what was reflected on the bather load is pretty accurate for a full building.
Dr. Nettleman, Mary Beth, do you see any problems here compared to last year?
Well, I don't. And look, you have the larger report in your packet that basically shows, and Tony can better explain his key carded system, but the key carded system is basically for everyone going in and out. That includes maintenance. And it's not just the persons in the apartment complex, but it's maintenance going in and out as well. And you may see multiple key carded swipes for them in and out of the facility all day. So that may make the number go up. And if you can see on the overall ledger that Amy Carey from our office was able to prepare, there are some starred asterisk items that indicate that it was maintenance manager, excuse me, it was the maintenance manager or the pool company that was going in and out of the pool. So you may see numbers a little bit higher with those loggings of those individuals going in and out of the pool enclosure.
But you don't see any problem with it?
No, I mean, you've approved variances of this nature before with the numbers similar to the numbers that you're seeing.
Yeah, I don't have any problem, Dr. Nettleman. It does not seem to be an over use of the pool here at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was impressed with the cameras in the pool area, the gates locked, 3 different doors to get through, 3 locked doors.
All right, then Dr. Nettleman make a motion.
Can I make a comment before you proceed with the motion? I did want to make mention, I have spoken with Tony earlier today and advised again that we have no information as to whether or not the pool will open. But if it does open, there have to be specific standards in place to meet the current way, the new normal operation for us here with COVID-19. And given some of the numbers that I'm seeing, one of the things that I expressed is that social distance has to happen not only in the pool enclosure, but in the pool as well.
Right.
So those are things that Tony will need to think about as he's putting a plan together if the pools are allowed to open.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
I still approve it.
So Dr. Nettleman, make a
Beyond a
motion.
second?
Yeah.
All in favor, aye.
Dr. Bergoli, roll call.
Yes.
Dr. Nettleman,
Yes, aye.
Laurie.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
D, Jonathan's Landing Condominium, 400 John Mahar Highway, 1-page request plus 118 supporting documents, regulation 1 page.
You killed me with this one.
Yeah. Don't drop it.
This is again a repeat variance request. Jonathan's Landing has had their pool open, I would say probably 10, 15 year, well, I don't think, I'd say roughly probably about maybe 8 to 10 years. Initially, they just had the one building. This is right across the street from the Chateau and Jake and Joe's.
Yep.
They had one building, and then as the construction proceeded, they do have multiple buildings now. They do have a small pool. It's not a big pool. Given the number of people in the complex, it's a very small pool. Initially, the board did not have any information, so you worked with them to gather bathing load information, and over the years, we've been able to provide that. This is a little bit different than a full-scale request for lifeguard variance. They will have a lifeguard present. They're just asking that during the early morning hours, usually from 8:30 a.m. until 12 p.m., they'd be allowed to operate without a lifeguard, so that those that they are home and able to use the pool for therapeutic purposes and sitting by the pool enclosure, that they'd be allowed to do that. So they would have a lifeguard during the days from 12 p.m. until 8 p.m. and then also on the weekends.
That's great.
You can see that in the comprehensive pool bather log report that Amy was able to prepare, they do have some relatively high numbers. Now, again, we weren't able to break that. We do have the times of the hours, but it was just very, very tiresome, monotonous to try and break it down to the hours. So, but we can assure you that the log reports were spanning throughout the day from 8 a.m. until the evening hours when they close.
Yeah, I saw that. You know, again, they're going to have to meet all of the new normal guidelines based on COVID-19. So,
Right.
you know, I motion to approve with, you know, all those other guidelines are going to come forward because they'll have to abide by all of them as well. But
Yeah.
I do motion to
Dr. Nettleman, I second.
All in favor? Aye.
approve.
And roll call, Dr. Bergoli,
Yes, aye.
Mr. Nadelman,
Yes,
Laurie.
Aye.
Okay.
On roll call, do you want us to say aye, yes, or anything?
Whatever. Well, you could say aye or yes.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know what anything means, so
Thank you, Mary Beth.
you're welcome.
Uh,
So I am going to unmute Mr. Rooney. He's next on the agenda. And I'm also going to unmute Amy Carey, our health inspector.
Thank you. Number 2, request for permit for keeping of animals. Kevin Rooney, 107 Longview Drive, 5 chickens. Application plus supporting documentation, 8 pages, plus regulations, 3 pages.
Mhm.
Mary Beth?
So within your packet, you have multiple documents. You do have some land, I'm gonna kind of hold things up. You do have some land area that shows where in the neighborhood it is, that particular property, what the cross streets are and so forth. You also have a plot plan in your packet that gives some information on the property. So in relationship to the house, if you're looking into the property from Longview Drive, the proposed chicken coop would be 20 foot from the side property line and 10 foot from the rear property line in front of a shed. Okay. And I've spoken with Mr. Rooney yesterday, and he's explained that the request is for 5 chickens. And he is on the line, so he can better explain what his plans are and what his method of disposal will be. But his proposal will be to compost the manure, and he will have no roosters.
Yeah, because you'd wake up the whole neighborhood if you did, let me tell you.
Trust me, you don't want to
Over there.
wake some of these people up.
Your neighbors would not be happy.
My neighbor, yeah, that was part of the deal. I spoke to my neighbors and they said, I was right forthcoming with them and said, I don't plan to have any roosters because I personally don't want any roosters.
Roosters are prohibited.
What's that?
Roosters are prohibited.
Are they?
Yes, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I have a good relationship with all my butters. I had them sign a paper. They all have my phone number. I supplied it with them. That way, if there's any issues at all, they can approach me, in which I see them on basically a daily basis since I've been home because of the pandemic that's been going on. And, I went to them personally and explained to them what I was doing.
Yeah, Kevin, the only thing that we've had for complaints is being cautious of rodents coming because of the chickens and also them flying over fences.
Right. I spoke with Mary Beth about that, and I have no problem taking a proactive approach about mitigating it if I see signs of it and whatnot. And if it becomes more of a hassle than not, I'll just get rid of the chickens, and go about it that way. So.
Right. So if I can offer a little guidance, the regulations require that the chickens cannot run loose and they have to remain on the property for which they may be permitted.
Yep.
Could you explain, Mr. Rooney, to the board what your proposal is for the coop in the chicken run? Number one, what the size it will be and how you will make sure that the run is secured from any wildlife getting into the coop.
Yeah. So I have a small one, and I don't think it's really feasible that for what what I'm going to do with it. So I'm going to end up building a smaller one. It's going to be 4x4. With another 4-foot extension. So they'll have a total of 8. So it'll be 8x4, 32 or so square feet to run around in with 12 or 14 gauge carpentry mesh, which is a 1/4-inch galvanized metal that goes around it to keep rodents out. I plan on burying it 6 inches in the ground and backfilling it with stone. So that way rodents and pests can't get underneath and dig through it. And so it's going to be a lock secured coop with a sliding door on it, and where places where I can keep it completely secured from outside animals and predators.
Mary Beth, Dr. Nettleman, do we have letters from all the butters that
We
are?
do. We do. We've received received the sign off from the abutters. Now, please understand, the abutters are not giving approval. They are required to be notified of the intention to request a permit for the keeping of animals. So we have proof that they have been notified.
They have been notified, but can the abutters object to it?
They can't object to it. I've not received any communication from any of the abutters to Mr. Rooney.
Okay, very good.
Mary Beth, I have 2 questions for you. Do we need to put in for the 5? Do we want to give an amount you can go up to, or we're just going with 5?
Well, I'm going to offer a recommendation. I suggest that you remain with what the applicant is requesting. I will tell you, Longview, the properties over on Longview aren't enormous. So
Okay.
we need to be mindful of that.
And then last, about the manure disposal method as compost delivered offsite, do we need to put in how often or anything like that?
Well, compost itself, as long as the compost is being maintained, and if Mr. Rooney has a compost, I'm sure he knows how to maintain it.
Okay.
It has to be done routinely, and temperatures is a whole science to it.
Okay.
I lived in Maine for 18 years. I got a good understanding of it.
Dr. Nettleman, I move it be approved.
And Laurie Melchionda, I second the motion.
All in favor? Aye.
And roll call, Dr. Bergoli,
Aye.
Dr. Nettleman,
Aye.
Laurie. Laurie?
Sorry, aye.
Okay.
B,
Can you
Jill,
hear me? Can you hear me, Mary Beth?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. Kevin, I just want to let you know I'll be doing the permits tomorrow. Be sending them out for you. So
Okay, so does that get mailed to me? Is that how that works, or?
yeah, I'm going to mail it to you. I'm going
All
to
right.
be really busy tomorrow, so
Yeah,
I'll mail it to you.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Stay safe.
You too, thank you.
You welcome.
B, Jill Norton, 1434 Liberty Street, 5 chickens. Application plus supporting documentation, 10 pages, plus regulation, 3 pages.
Okay. Again, you have in your packet information provided by Jill for the request. You have the area map, so you know generally where on Liberty Street her property is located. It's on, well, Jill can better explain, but it's almost it's right on the corner there of Liberty Street and Old Liberty Street, closer to the Holbrook side of Liberty Street. There is a plot plan in your packet that indicates you're looking in from Liberty Street. The chicken coop will be to the left-hand side of to the right-hand side of the property, and it's 25 foot off the side property line. 25 foot off the rear property line and 5 foot from a shed. And she is requesting 5 chickens. This is a fairly good sized property, and Jill can quote me on this or not. I believe that this is a wooded area behind your property.
Yes, it is.
So Jill may be able to offer more information on her proposal and how her land, her property is established.
Hi. So we have one abutter. We did send off the certified letter. We actually just moved here recently, so I haven't officially met her yet. But we did get that sent off, and that should be in the documents. We have wooded area in the back of our house and to the right of our house. So there's nobody on the right side that would be hassled by the chickens. And my scenario is pretty similar to the previous request from Mr. Rooney. We're gonna do a small coop and have a fenced-in area with the hardware wire that's gonna be down in the ground to help so no predators get in. We're gonna compost the litter. And
Can you talk about the coop itself, Jill, the run, the chicken coop, the structure?
yeah, so we're gonna do about, it's a 3x3 coop, so it's relatively small. And the run itself is gonna be about 10 feet by 8 feet. So they'll have sufficient area to live in that space. No roosters.
That wooded property to the right of her home is conservation. So Kelly Phelan from Conservation, she approved as long as everything is maintained in a sanitary condition. So
Right. So I'll read into the record the notification from Ms. Phelan with Conservation. She indicated the only concern that the Conservation Division has with the keeping of chickens is the potential for manure runoff to flow to wetlands or storm drains. If the manure is properly managed, there should be no issue.
Yeah, that is my intention, to make sure that it's maintained properly, and if it becomes an issue, then we'll definitely deal with it appropriately or get rid of the chickens if we need to.
So we have received the certified mailing that the notification to the director about it that Jill has not met yet, did receive the delivery notice that it was delivered.
Dr. Nuttleman, there's one abutter, correct?
So there are 2 abutters. One is an individual she hasn't met, and the other one is the Town of Braintree Conservation Division.
Right. And I think Amy spoke to that, but as far as the other abutter, shouldn't we wait until we get a clearance from that abutter?
No, well, it was delivered. We have proof that it was delivered. Again, you're not asking for permission from the abutter. The requirement is that they notify the abutter of the intention to request a permit, which Jill has. I have not received any response from the abutter, which one way or the other, if they have any comments regarding the application.
Well, what if an abutter objected?
Well, if it was indicated that it would go before the board for the meeting, so if there is an objection, then we could just bring it back to the board meeting, back to a future board meeting.
Dr. Nettleman, when I was out there on the property, where her shed is, it's a good, it's close to 100 feet from her on the left.
Okay,
You're on the corner. If you were to go past, Old Liberty is one way. It's like an arc. Go past it and then pull in, and she's next to the last house. Is that right, Jill?
Yes, that's correct.
And the other one, right?
I wasn't particularly concerned about this. I just wanted to know what the procedure was if a neighbor objected.
Well, on any application, if the board has approved it and there were concerns by neighbors, we would certainly try and address it within the department to try and get it resolved. But if that is not successful, then it would be brought before the board for review again.
Well, I think I've said before that I would vote against a permit if there was an objection by a neighbor that had some validity to it.
Can I make one comment?
I have no problem here.
No,
But I mean, just in the future, we always generally approve all of these. And there was one, I think, that we asked that the coop be moved a few feet, and that was done. And seemed to be consensus there. So I'm just wondering in the future, if a neighbor does object, how important is it as to our decision?
Well, in the past, we have had neighbors object, you know that, because they've appeared before the board. We've had some very upset neighbors. And I know that the board has very respectfully, responsibly tried to work what the concerns out with both parties and then come to a reasonable resolution. You have refused to issue permits, but I know that your approach has generally been to receive their concerns and try and work the concerns out with the parties involved to see if there can be some resolution to satisfactorily meeting the needs of both parties.
Okay,
I'll just make one, I'm sorry.
Dr. Nettleman, I move it be approved.
Yeah, I was just going to make the comment that the letter was mailed on the 6th. The person received it on the 8th. It is now the 14th. If there were any issues, I'm assuming they would have contacted us by now. Motion is on the table. Laurie,
Laurie Melchiondo seconds the motion.
all in favor? Aye.
And roll call, Dr. Bergoli,
Aye.
Dr. Nettleman, Laurie.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Jill.
Good luck,
Thank you so much.
Jill,
That was a
I'll
tough
send
one.
your permit out as well, Jill, tomorrow.
Great. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Good luck.
Okay.
Great. Take care.
So the third application is from Mary Beth Forbes of 209 Franklin Street. It's on the corner of Franklin Street and Elmwood Ave. Within your packet, you do have the location generally in the neighborhood where it is, and you also have a plot plan. I have also emailed you, I was out today to do just another site visit to make sure I had some definite clarification on the setbacks, and I emailed that to the board members, but I don't know if you can see this, but, I don't think you can see it, but in any case, so it's a beautiful property. Mrs. Forbes has a beautifully pristine property, and the majority of the land of the property is in the front of the house. This is the front, this is Franklin Street, and then this is Elmwood. The house is here, driveway, and then the backyard is right here. The proposal for the coop is to go up against a fence. The coop itself the coop with run will be 3 foot 6 feet, 3 foot by 6 foot, and it will be 10 foot off of that back fence line, and it will be 19 foot off of the side property line, which is on Elm Lawn. Okay? The backyard is, I will admit, and I believe Mrs. Forbes will agree with me, it's a very small backyard. The majority of the land on this property is in the front. You do have within your packet information about the manure disposal. I know that she has these plans to compost. The number of chickens that was requested was 12, and I believe Mrs. Forbes has indicated that she would request 5 to 6 chickens instead. I'm going to unmute you, Mrs. Forbes. Let's see, unmute you. Okay, there we go. And so I will tell you that you have received, the board members, you have received some emails of concern by abutters, by neighbors. And the concerns were, number one, the concern about odor. Secondly, the concern about noise. Chickens they're not like roosters, but they do make noise. And lastly, the concern about wildlife, which those are issues that you have heard before in the past from abutters, and it's a very valid concern. And as you know, I know that you remember one that the board had that in which there was an absolute instance of rodent activity in the neighborhood, and the neighbors, they all came out, and you heard that before a meeting with the applicant requesting a permit for keeping of chickens and the objections by the neighbors. I know in that instance, there was a valid issue with rodents and they were required to get pest control. I mean, this applicant did go to long and extreme measures to try and obtain a permit from you. So they are very valid concerns, and I did advise the persons that sent them that I would make certain that I forwarded them to you. So Mrs. Forbes is on the line, that you were able to ask some questions of her.
Has Dr. Nuttleman, has Mrs. Forbes had the chickens before, or is this new?
No, this is the first time. There are no chickens on the property at present, nor have we ever had a permit for this property.
But we have a lot of concerns because of the, is it more the location and that we don't have the proper variance, the proper, footage away from other areas?
Well, that's why I went out and verified it today. So the minimum setback that you require would be 10 feet. And with the coop, where the coop will be placed up against the backyard fence, which is towards the front portion of the backyard, it will be exactly 10 feet from the coop to that back fence.
Not 13 feet.
Not 13 feet. No, it's 13 feet from fence to fence. So the front fence, which is abutting the driveway, and the back fence is exactly 13 feet. The coop will be 3 feet by 6 feet. So the 3 feet, so minus the 3 feet from the 13, that will give you exactly 10 feet from the coop to the back fence. The coop would run to the side property line. So there is a fence within the property boundaries, and then you walk down the stairs to the ground level, and there's a stone wall or a block wall. That's the property line. So the distance between the end of the run and the property line on Elmwood Ave is 19 feet.
Mary Beth, can you tell me a little bit about the complaints, and are they the direct abutters, number 65, 215?
One's a direct abutter, and then one is across the street.
Okay. And their concerns were smell,
Well,
noise?
the size of the property, number one, very small for especially 12 chickens that were being requested, and I would agree with that.
Correct.
Odor, noise, attraction of rodents and wildlife.
Okay.
Now, I will say, when I tell you, and Mrs. Forbes, I compliment you on the beautiful property that you have. When I say it's probably the greenest lawn I've ever seen. And your husband was painfully manicuring it when I was there today, which is really nice to see. So if at present there are no chickens, of course. So, but given the way that the property is very obviously being maintained, I don't necessarily have a concern with the odor portion, because I believe that that will be kept under control.
Can I speak to that as well?
Yes.
So the coop is going to be right outside my sliding door to my office, which I work in on a daily basis. So I can guarantee you that I do not want to smell the coop on a daily basis. So that will be kept clean. And there are ways to keep it easy to maintain by putting down gravel and sand on top of that, where it's easily raked out. And that is my intention. Thank you.
Now, Mrs. Forbes, can you speak to the board about the number of chickens you're requesting? I know
Okay,
you
I had put down 12 because it just said up to 12 on the application. And I don't think my coop would really handle any more than 5 or 6. There's 5 of us in the house and we all want a chicken. So that's our plan, is to have 5. I think I'm going to get 6 chicks because sometimes they don't make it all the way through to get out into the coop.
And can you also talk a little bit about the, your plan for rodents and protection of that? And also
Right. So as Mr. Rooney said, I'm going to be, digging 6 inches into the ground around the run. I'm having a professionally made coop up in Maine. I'm having it delivered from Maine because I felt that it was, a good quality coop. What you need to do in order to, I've done a lot of research on this because I'm not going to go and get chickens without knowing what I'm doing. You really need to secure your water source. You need to secure your food source, where you actually keep your feed needs to be very well protected. And we're going to be putting a galvanized wire mesh on the run on the top of it in terms of keeping out predators. I hope that answers the question.
It does. And they also, you know, because obviously the neighbors are concerned, making sure the noise level and that they don't move out of the yard, to be really mindful of that.
Yes, yeah.
Is going to be necessary. Otherwise, you're going to end up back here.
Yes.
Dr. Nettleman, Mary Beth, have there been any objections from the immediate abutters?
Yes, one.
On
What was the
basis?
objection?
What I had mentioned, the odor, the noise, the rodent potential and wildlife potential, attraction of rodents and wildlife.
Okay.
And Mary Beth, do you know if any of them are on? I know typically if we were in
No,
town.
I've been watching, I don't see any, because they, although they may not be able to speak, hang on, let me look. No one has raised their hand to ask any questions, so I don't know if they're on or not. But if persons that are on from the public have any questions, they can raise their hand. Okay.
Mary Beth, Dr. Nettleman, is it possible to give a permit for a specific period of time, like 5 to 6 months?
Right.
Well, I think that's a little difficult because then you have to find someone to take on the chickens, which you'd have to do if the permit was denied at a future date anyways. But if it was going to be for that short a period, I don't want to invest in a coop that I'm having shipped down from Maine at a cost and invest in the chickens and then just invest in the whole process without knowing that I could continue with it. It takes about 5 or 6 months before the chickens even start laying eggs. If you bring them in as chicks, it takes about 5 to 7 weeks before you can bring them outside. And then it takes a while for them to actually lay, and then you're coming into winter and it's light-based.
So if I may, it looks like we do have an abutter that is on meeting, and I have received a message that the coop is located right outside the bedroom window, and there are 2 bedrooms on that side of the house.
My bedrooms?
No. It appears that we have an abutter on the meeting. They are not able to speak. They did get a chat message indicating, it says that it is located right outside my bedroom window, and there are 2 bedrooms on that side of the house from an abutter. So that's one of the concerns, apparently, that this, in your backyard, the coop would be located obviously in your backyard, and the abutter's bedrooms are on that side of the property. This would be the back of your property.
Well, they're usually sleeping at night, so they go in at dusk to their coop. So I don't see how it could be an issue for the bedrooms.
Okay, I am going to, it looks like we have a caller by the name of Amy on the line that I'm going to unmute in case they are someone that being a abutter to this property, and if they'd like to speak, that they would have the opportunity to do that. If there's an Amy on the line, not Amy Carey from my office, but another Amy on the line, if you can unmute your speaker, then if you would like to speak, you would be provided that opportunity. For some reason, I'm not able to unmute you on my side. Okay, Amy, if you can't hear me, you can raise your hand. There's a button to raise your hand on the Zoom meeting, and you can submit a message through chat if you'd like. For some reason, I am not able to successfully unmute you. If you can do it on your end, that would be helpful. I'm sorry? Okay, yeah. Okay, well, I'm not able to unmute the caller named Amy. I don't have any other chat messages, but that's the only thing I did receive is that the bedroom, there's on the property where the coop will be located, the abutters' bedrooms are on that side of the rear of the property, and that was a concern. I would indicate probably it's a concern about noise, could be a concern about odor.
My question, and you know, Ms. Forbes knows how difficult this is, and we go through this on occasion when we have these requests. And we always try to make everybody happy because we want you to be successful. You know, that's the key, so that I don't have to do something with the chickens. You know, we want it to go well, and you're going to invest all of this time and want these chickens and not have them go away. I don't know your backyard. I don't know if it could be moved a little bit on another side or anything that would be more away from the bedrooms.
So the way the property is set up, the majority of my land is on the front and it's not fenced in, although we will have a run for the chickens. We're on Franklin Street, which is a very busy street. Well, not these days, it's not very busy because there are not a lot of people on the road, but it's a very busy street. And I don't know how distracting that would be for the chickens, whether or not they'd be able to, you know, sleep when they need to sleep, etc. In the olden days, as my kids would call it, this street would be pretty busy starting at 2:30 in the afternoon until probably 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night. And so my concern for the chickens was that, you know, I don't want them stressed out either. So if they were out front, that would be a problem. The other side of my house is all deck. And I don't know that I would want to put chickens on a deck. I don't think it's good for them. I think they need to actually have, you know, soil and sand and whatever.
So if the board would like, I can read the 2 emails that were received from abutters to you so that you're familiar with what the concerns are.
I just have one quick question, Mary Beth.
Yes.
Do the abutters know that we're talking about 5 or 6 chickens and not 12 chickens?
As of right now, unless they're on the call, which I don't know if they are or not, they may not.
Yeah, it appears that, you know, Amy was on, she did write a message, whether she can hear, you know what I mean? She obviously was able to write that message and tell us that, you know, outside of her bedroom, so that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not able to unmute, so Amy, the caller, would have to unmute herself if she'd like to talk. But would you like me to read the concerns into the record, the board members?
Sure.
Okay. So the first one, thank you for your response and information regarding the proposed coop at 209 Franklin Street at the corner of Elmwood Ave. I live on Elmwood Ave facing the property. I'm not a direct abutter, therefore I was not notified of the proposal. However, considering the only distance between the property and mine is the width of the street, I feel that this does affect me. The offset of the coop from the street line is approximately 4 feet, which we'll talk about that when I finish this. The footprint of the house on the property has greatly increased over the years. It started out as a cape and has been oversized over the years, leaving very little yard area. I am in no way complaining about that. The property is very well maintained and very well appointed with landscaping. My issue is this current proposal. I'm writing because I feel that it is not an appropriate place to have it located. You stated that it has to be 10 feet from the property line. It does not meet that requirement streetwise and has been placed on the property line with the neighboring house. This will impact the area. The property is across from the wetlands for the Braintree High School. We always have hawks circling the area. They have been in my yard killing pigeons and on my fence with a grackle in its claws, having killed that also. I feel the situation will only increase the activity of hawks in the neighborhood. We also have coyotes and fox that appear frequently in the neighborhood. A chicken coop will only exacerbate their activity also. I cannot even imagine the odor that will emanate from it in the heat of summer. I write to oppose the proposed coop and have the health department will very carefully review this proposal and decline it. Thank you for your consideration. Now, a couple of things to talk about there is, number one, I did go out and verify the location today. The location will be 10 foot off of the back property line. It will be 19 foot off of the side property line closest to Elmwood Ave. As far as the wetlands, that's across the street. from, I mean, it's across the Franklin Street, a good distance from where the coop will be. The second notice to you or email to you was that she's expressing opposition to the allowance of the chicken coop at the property abutting the house at 65 Elmwood Ave. They oppose this as the property is located very close to each other, and this chicken coop is being placed right at the property line between the yards, which is very close to the bedroom and the 2 bedrooms on the side of that house, not to mention being woken up by these chickens early in the morning. The properties in the neighborhood are very small lots. We also have a lot of wild animals in the neighborhood, like wild turkeys, coyotes, etc. The abutter is worried about the terrible smell and the inability to be able to enjoy his backyard. I hope that this will not be allowed. It is also my understanding that there needs to be a 10-foot distance from the property line, that being the fence. And there is not any distance as is set up right to the fence near the 2 bedrooms. Thank you. So one of the things that may be of confusion when I was visiting this afternoon with Mrs. Forbes was there was a structure in the backyard. I thought it had something to do with the coop, but it wasn't. It's a very nice flower bed, apparently, that's being built. That is not the coop, and that was located adjacent to the rear fence. The coop is not presently on the property. Mrs. Forbes is in the process of ordering it. So what is on the property now, and Mrs. Forbes can speak more to that, is not the chicken coop.
It's basically a raised vegetable bed that I had made. It's I think it's about 4 feet off the ground. It's 8 by 4 raised bed that will be filled with soil and vegetables.
So, I did verify the proposed coop based on the dimensions of the coop and where Mrs. Forbes intends to place it, if it was approved, would be 10 foot off of the rear property line and 19 foot off of the side property line, which would be basically abutting Elmwood Ave. Now, please also understand that if the board did issue a permit, the department does routine inspections of the property, and certainly if there are ever any concerns, which if we receive concerns, we follow up on them no matter whether to verify them, the complaint or not, they would be followed up on. And routine inspections of the property would occur in order to receive a permit. That would be one of the conditions, and it always has been. So it would be entirely up to, well, I mean, the concerns raised are valid concerns, and we've seen those in the past from other persons that have had chickens. And so they are certainly valid concerns. So I would suggest that you review the application and the information provided by Mrs. Forbes, and then also weigh that with the concerns of the individuals that submitted notices of concern to you.
Kick it off, Lori.
I mean, I will tell you, I absolutely, and Mrs. Forbes has revised her request for the number of chickens. I would never have agreed to a recommendation of 12 chickens. The property's too small.
Correct, and that's key, and also the size of the coop is too small for that number of chickens as well. I will put a motion forward to approve for the chicken coop for Mrs. Forbes.
Okay.
Dr. Neville.
If I may, before you finish your motion, it looks like we have another caller on the line, and I don't have the ability to unmute that caller, but if they would like to raise their hand on the Zoom call and send in a written message to the board, I can read that for you and make sure that the board hears that message. So if we could give it a few seconds if that applicant would like to do that, or that the caller would like to do that. No, it doesn't. I guess not.
And how come you can't unmute them, Mary
Well,
Beth?
they're not listed on, I do see an Amy that's on the line, but the call is muted and I'm not able to unmute it. Amy would have to unmute that on her end. And I see another caller, just the telephone number. I don't have them listed in my participant pull down
You
list.
better know if you move the mouse over your screen, you will see down in the corner, in the left corner, that there's a mute, a microphone?
Right.
and
No,
there's
I know that, but I can't unmute them.
No,
They're
I'm trying
muted.
to tell them, because I
Oh.
think they can hear us. And I'm
Okay,
trying to give them directions so that they do something so that they could be heard. I don't know why.
Dr. Nettleman, I approve it also.
okay. Okay, this is Amy. That one's Amy. Okay. Hi, if there's a caller on the line that would like to speak to this application, if you would like to speak, you have the opportunity to speak before the Board of Health now. Okay, well, I believe that maybe that callers on the line may not want to speak. So I have read into the record the concerns that were forwarded to me by email for the board members.
A motion was put forth by Laurie Melchionda that was seconded by Dr. Philip Nettleman.
Well, can you repeat the motion, Laurie? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yes, I have a motion for 5 chickens for Mrs. Forbes at 209 Franklin Street.
Okay, are there any conditions with that, Laurie?
No, just that she does a really good job to keep the neighbors happy.
Yeah, and the Board of Health checks periodically, right?
The department routinely inspects the properties. And again, if anyone has a concern about any property, they can forward it, they can give our office a call and we will go out and investigate it. And if there was, on any applicant that the board approves for keeping of animals, if there is a concern and it's not being resolved, then they will be called before the Board of Health again for review of the permit up to and including suspension or revocation.
Right. All right, I had seconded.
And that is definitely to make sure that it's 5 chickens and not the 12, Mary Beth.
Agreed.
5
agreed.
chickens, yes, okay. And the roll
All
call,
in favor?
Dr. Bergoli,
Aye.
Dr. Nettleman,
Aye.
Laurie.
Was that 5
5.
or 6?
No,
5 chickens.
Aye.
Bye.
Mrs. Forbes would like to speak.
No, I was putting up my hand to say 5.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, and Laurie, roll call, Laurie, yes?
yes.
Okay. Okay, so you've been approved for 5 chickens.
Well, I want to thank you all for your consideration.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
D, Taylor Knopp, 1261 Washington Street, 8 chickens. Application plus supporting documentation, 8 pages, plus regulation, 3 pages. Mary Beth.
Okay, you have within your packet the application, supporting documentation to include notification to the abutters, the plot plan of the property, as well as the area map, so you generally know where it's located off of Washington, it's on Washington Street, near Shepherd Road. The proposed chicken coop will be, if you're looking into the property from Washington Street, it's a very long property. It might be somewhat narrow, but it's a very long property. And the chicken coop itself is 30 feet from the left side property line. It is 25 feet from, it's in kind of an odd, it's like an L-shaped property. It's 25 feet from the front small L-shaped portion of the property. And then it's a good distance. It looks to be 130 feet from the rear of the property line. Now, Mr. Knopp is on the line and I'm going to unmute him so that he has the opportunity to speak to you on his application. His request is for 8 chickens and he plans to compost, the proposal is to compost the manure. So Mr. Knopp, if you can explain to the board what the construction of the coop will be and how what your plans are to maintain it, how you would prevent the attraction of wildlife and rodent activity, and what your proposal is for the manure, the composting.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, the property, we've got about a half an acre of land. I plan on building, I'm in the process of building a 5 foot by 6 foot coop. that is enclosed, with ventilation, but also with locked doors to prevent, anything from getting in, as well as a locked, door for the chickens to get in and out of. There'll be a 6-foot by 12-foot run that'll be fully enclosed with 1/2-inch hardware cloth. It's 19 gauge hardware cloth, as well as what's called a predator apron that goes along the outside edge. That comes out from the edge of the run to prevent anything from getting in and anything from getting out. And that'll go next to the attached to the actual coop. And then the actual compost will be towards the back of the property. But we do plan on doing what's called like a deep litter method, which you only actually have to, it actually kind of composts within the coop, and you only have to change it about once or twice a year actually. So, but that's the plan.
And
Thank you.
Is your whole property fenced, like high fenced in?
No, nope.
My thoughts are, just wondering, if you have so much land back there and it's so far away from the home, that, animals would be more likely to get it. I know are you gonna lock it?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's going to be fully enclosed with that hardware cloth, to prevent anything from getting in. And it's only probably from our actual house. It's probably about 50 feet, from our house, but.
And Mary Beth, abutters?
We have received notification, and you have that within your packet, notification to all the butters. You actually went ahead and appears, Mr. Knott, that you walked around and spoke with your neighbors and they signed off on the letter.
Yeah, I'm friendly with all my neighbors, so I wanted to see actually if they were okay with it before I even came to you guys. So they didn't have any concerns. So.
And it looks like Mr. Knopf's going to be kind enough to offer eggs to his neighbors.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's a great way to get them to buy in. Smart man.
And I believe Amy came out to look at the property as well.
Amy did, yes. Mhm.
Mary Beth, could you just show up, hold that up, just to point where it's going to be? I still have no clue.
Okay.
The blocks with an
So
X.
you have a picture of a plot plan that looks like this.
I saw that. What about on here?
No, I didn't draw on there. I didn't draw on there. So if you take that picture, Dr. Bergoli, the one
Yeah.
that gives you of the whole area, the neighborhood, and match the property up to here, you can see at the little L shape, the little L here. So his property goes back like this, and then it turns slightly to the left.
Oh, all right. My mistake. I was holding it a different way.
Yeah, so it's 25, if you look at it from Washington Street, looking into it, it's 25 feet, the coop will be
Right.
25 feet from that little L, the jog there, the little L, and then 30 feet from the side property line. And then if you look at the measurements, the length of that piece of property from there to there is 155 feet, minus the 25 feet would give you 130 feet. So he's got 130 feet from the proposed location all the way back.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm gonna unmute Amy. If it's okay, that she wanted to make a comment.
Hi there. Just want to let you guys know that where he's proposing to put this coop is in a fairly wooded area off from the back of his property. He's far enough away. I believe he's kind of like downhill from some of the other properties, but it was in a wooded area, and he's going to have a little run. His property is a little bigger than the others that have been here at the meeting, so he's got plenty of room.
I put forward a motion to approve for Miss Taylor Knopp. Is it Knopp?
No, yep.
Yep.
I second.
1261 Washington Street, 8 chickens.
Okay, is there a roll call, Dr. Bergoli?
Yes.
Dr. Nettleman?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Taylor.
All right, thank you
Taylor, I'll
guys.
send you the permit tomorrow as well.
Thank you.
Welcome.
E, Tom Whalen, 84 Oak Street, 6 Chickens, application and supporting documentation, 9 pages, plus regulation, 3 pages.
Okay, I don't know that Mr. Whalen or his son or daughter-in-law are on the line or on the meeting. I don't see them. If they are, if maybe they can send a chat message and let us know if they're out there. It doesn't appear that they are though. So if it's up to the board whether you'd want to consider this application just by me presenting it to you based on the information that we have, and Amy can also add to the comments.
Well, all abutters had no problems.
Okay, so would you
Nope.
like to table it or would you like to move forward with it?
I'd like to hear Amy.
Okay, so let me go ahead and present the application, and then I'll turn it over to Amy. So the application is from Tom Whalen. He is at 84 Oak Street here in Braintree. You do have in your packet the area map of where he is located. He's on the corner of Judson Street and Oak Street here in Braintree, right on the corner.
Yep.
And he is requesting 6 chickens. You have within your packet a plot plan, and also he has provided notification of all the abutters to him. You can see on the plot plan that he's provided, so I'm going to kind of hold it up so you can see it. I don't know if you can see this, but so what is this? This is the plot plan. This is the house. That's the garage, and then the coop is just to the right of the garage, so it would be on the Judson Street side. The coop would be 8 feet from the garage. It would be 16 feet from the rear property line and 20 feet from the side property line. And he will be, let's see, he's using the manure for his gardening or composting. He's requesting 6 chickens. All the abutters have been notified. I'm going to turn it over to Amy because she can give more information on this very elaborate chicken coop. He's a contractor, so it's very elaborate.
Okay, this is, as you guys know, I'm from the farm. I don't believe I've seen a chicken coop like this in a long time. Tommy has spent a lot of time. It's just gorgeous. I couldn't believe it because I'm thinking he's got a small property too. I had no idea how his backyard was, but he put new fencing up. His garden is right next to the coop, so all he's got to do is shovel, it over. But it's quite elaborate. Yeah, I mean, if you have a chance, you should probably go by and just look at it. He's spent a lot of time with it, but it looks good. It looks good.
So the coop itself, I mean, when we say it's this elaborate, is that it has a shingled roof.
Right.
To match his property. And so, Amy, can you speak to the coop run for the chickens?
Oh, I'm trying to remember now. Yeah, it's not very big. I would have to go. I mean, I'll be out tomorrow. I can deliver. I can go out there first thing, but I can't remember. But I mean, it's a little. I mean, he's still 16. He's 16 feet from the fence, and then I think there's probably a foot or so, and then there's a driveway behind where his butter is.
I happened to walk by because I went for a walk early this morning, but
Oh, okay.
didn't know you were gonna tell me about this chicken coop back there. But I know the house, I know the area quite well, and it is far away from everything because, where it's located, there's a garage blocking, and then there's, like you said, there's 60 feet, then there's a driveway before even the house, and then the other side's the street.
So what if the board approves the application, we will reemphasize with Mr. Whalen, who is a former retired town of Braintree employee, so he's very familiar with regulations, that the chickens cannot run wild, they have to be penned, and the requirement for making sure that the run and coop are secured from wildlife getting into it.
And Mary Beth, you probably remember years ago on the other street before Judson, we had a big problem with the feral cats years ago. And Tommy, I mean, he was down 3 or 4 houses, but that problem was solved once the little 4-legged critters were removed from that home. So
It's right around your home, Martha, right?
Exactly. I remember the white suits.
Right. So it's up to the
That might have
board.
been a
with-
Pat Toomey time.
Yeah, so with Mr. Whalen not present, it's really up to you whether you want to consider making a motion to approve it or table it to the next meeting, and we can make sure that he or his family member in attendance.
I would make
All
a
of
motion.
butters, yeah, all of butters have signed off.
Yeah.
Um,
I have not received any contact or communication from any of the butters.
I'm comfortable with Amy, when you deliver the, the permit, that you definitely just, or somebody, review or give them a pack, the information, so that they're clear of knowing what the guidelines are, what the
Well,
regulations.
and they know I'll be on them if not.
There you go. Beautiful. So I make a motion to approve this
Okay.
lovely
Dr.
chicken.
Netherman seconds.
Okay,
All in favor, aye.
And
okay.
there was
roll-
six chickens for
chickens.
84 Oak Street.
Okay, so Dr. Bergoli, roll call.
Yes.
Dr. Nettleman,
Yes.
Laurie.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then the last item on your agenda is your reaffirmation of an action that I took with the COVID-19 response that the town and under the mayor and the departments, including our department, health and building department. As you can imagine, it's been a Herculean effort. And with that, we have, you have appointed not only me as the director of the health department and your health agent, but you also have Amy Carey and Robin Magner as health agents. We just needed more assistance with some orders that were put in place, not only locally, but also through the governor's office to assist us in enforcement, such as face coverings, social distancing requirements, the requirements for essential businesses, the allowance for essential businesses to be open, and the non-essential businesses requirement to be closed. So we've had to take a lot of enforcement action to make sure that that's being complied with. And we've been doing that with the assistance of the police department through Chief Du Bois and also our local building inspectors, Russ Forsberg, Michael Halley, and a code compliance officer and ADA coordinator, Christina Zaniti. So in doing that, knowing that I needed that assistance to help Robin and Amy with enforcement, I have gone ahead, as under the authority granted to me through the Mass General laws, and appointed Chief Du Bois and the police officers, as well as Russ Forsberg, Michael Halley, and Christina Zaniti as special agents to the Board of Health for enforcement of actions necessary during the state and local declarations of emergencies caused by COVID-19. So I would ask that you reaffirm my action to appoint those special agents working on behalf of the Board of Health.
A motion for you to be approved to have all of those special agents available to assist you with the COVID-19 pandemic crisis.
Second.
I just want to make the one comment. People are out of work. We need to make sure we're using common sense, but I have no issues at all.
Well, I can assure you, we have taken our direction directly from Mayor Kokoris and Chief of Staff Nicole Taub, and she is also our town solicitor. And the mayor's made it very clear to us, and we completely agree with him, that education is a key component here, and that's what we've been trying to do with the community and making sure that enforcement action is achieved, but it's through education and advising the community of the necessity for these orders to be in place. And the mayor has asked that we use a warning. The first method is a warning, or the first approach to it is a warning. The second would be either a written warning or a ticket, which is not something that we would want to do, but we have had to do that in one instance, and the individual still did not comply, and a cease and desist was issued, which that we do have the authority to issue those things under the direction of the governor's order as well as the mayor's order. Those are our last resorts, but in one instance, the person was continued to disobey the orders that were issued to the establishment to close, and putting not only staff members, but also patrons in, a concerning position with COVID going on regarding social distancing, etc. So it's not something that we want to do, but I will tell you, as The governor rolls out his plan on Monday. We are preparing because all of the establishments that are closed, the non-essential businesses, under the 4-phased approach plan, they will be designated in specific industry sectors based on their risk, whether it's low risk, medium risk, for contact between the staff member and client. And so that plan will come out. All of the establishments are required to submit a work safety plan. I would assume that given the nature of the required plans, that they would be submitted locally because we're familiar with the establishments as opposed to having them submitted at a state level, which there would be too numerous to be able to approve at one time. So I'm gearing up that we will locally be responsible for approving the plans, and we're working closely under the direction of the mayor, and Nicole Taub will be working, I will be working directly with all of my staff, health inspectors, building inspectors, code compliance officer, as well as a police official and the fire prevention officer to make sure that these plans are complied with and approved appropriately before an establishment can open. So that would include retrofitting an establishment too, because some establishments may have to, for example, put a shield up at their customer counter area that protects the staff member from the patron. So things like that. So as the plan is rolled out on Monday, we'll have the time to dissect it and try and get information out as soon as possible to members of the public, and more specifically the businesses as they pertain, as they're going to start coming online to reopen.
Any plans for testing in town?
Not here locally. We have reached out to the state because the property manager for the South Shore Plaza, Simon Properties, they generously and kindly offered the use of the Simon Properties South Shore Plaza property early on in March, and we did forward that to the state, but the state had found other locations that they felt were more suitable for persons to get to and from different communities. So at this time, no, but I will tell you that we have had a very good and responsible partner in Menack Community Health out of Quincy. They are offering testing to town employees as may be necessary, and they are also offering testing to facilities here in the Braintree area, long-term care facilities for their employees, etc. That's a program that they've rolled out. So they've been very responsible partners to the community, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mary Beth, I know other communities, and I'm sure with Braintree, the communication is still so vague, and it's still, with the possible lifting of the stay-at-home and order for non-essential workers to get back into work, and even for schools, the employees to get back into the buildings to prepare for the end of school, cleaning, all that stuff. Are you finding that they are aware that they have to submit a plan to even go back into the buildings for, to do, be there for, a few hours?
Right. So the plan has not been rolled out to the municipalities. We don't even have it. It's going to be rolled out at the same time, not only for municipalities, but to the public, that puts us a bit out of a disadvantage, because certainly we'd like to prepare and have more information for the public and for those businesses. But as soon as we get the information, we're going to try and decipher it as quickly as we can and try and get the information out to the first level establishments that will be allowed to open, and then go from there into each of the industry sectors that are allowed to open on a date specific. But they cannot open, it's my understanding that they cannot open until they have received approval of the plan and they've met the requirements of the approval, whether that be retrofitting and everything else that's necessary in the establishment.
Correct. And do you have a team to do that?
Well, that's what I mentioned. That's why I've had to appoint some special agents. So on the team that we've composed right now, we have myself, we have the 2 health inspectors, 2 building inspectors, a code compliance officer, a fire prevention officer, and a designated police representative. And that's done through the direction of Mayor Kokoris and Nicole Taub.
Wow.
So we're definitely trying to prepare, and we're researching as much as we can on all of the bulletins provided to date by the governor's office. It's very limited information, trying to just put ourselves in a position that we can decipher it as quickly as it comes out and get information out to the public. But Braintree would not be the only one in this situation. Every community throughout the Commonwealth is too, so.
Every community throughout the Commonwealth is it. And what I'm seeing, because I'm working in another community too, and I know, and I'm doing the same work as a Board of Health member for Weston, is that it's very, very challenging because businesses are allowing people in without that approval, feeling as though because there was some guidance given that every, mandatory wearing of masks, mandatory social distancing, if they feel as though they can meet those guidelines, they feel as though they have the authority to just go in on Monday.
No, so what we're
The
planning,
health aren't really getting the message that they can't, and the governor's saying it, but people aren't paying attention to that.
well, I can tell you, I'm preparing myself and our staff that Monday is going to be a busy day, and there'll be, and I can assure you, every day, staff members are out in the community making sure that both essential and non-essential businesses are complying with the governor's order. I don't see that as being any different on Monday. I do see maybe the opportunity for a person maybe that have not received those messages through the media, that they may open, and we will have to advise them that they can't open and need to follow whatever the protocol is that's set forth in the plan. So we definitely see that happening on Monday.
Wow.
You got your work cut out for you, I know that.
It's going to be busy, but I will tell you, and I think you know this, we have an exceptional staff in the Public Health Nursing Division. Jean McGinty and Mary Mulready has come back to join us and has been with us for almost 2 months now, helping with the contact tracing and investigations for those that are positive. The school nurses have been absolutely amazing. They are doing our contact tracing with us and come in and join us on a daily basis. And so we feel like things are going really well. It's a lot of work and it's a long day for everyone, but we feel like it's very positive, and I know this sounds strange, but this is a historic event for us, as bad as it is, and I feel very lucky to be a part of it. And Mayor Koukouris and Nicole Taub and his administrative staff, Stephen Leary and Kate Naughton, have been absolutely amazing and are incredibly supportive to all of us. And so many people in the community and other departments just really amazing and incredibly supportive. This has really shown the strength of the Braintree community, that's for certain.
When will we see Philip at Bertucci's?
Well, he can go in now to have takeout service.
I see, but I won't see him sitting at the
He
bar.
just will not be sitting there at present.
All right.
And he better not be wearing the Michigan shirt. You're lucky I don't have my Ohio State shirt on tonight.
On that note, I make a motion to adjourn.
Nice to see you, Dr. Nettleman.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
You too, Lori and Dr. Bergoli.
Thank you.
Is there
Take
a
care.
second?
Mary Beth, I'll see you in the morning.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
There's a second to the motion, but I have a quick question for you too, Mary Beth, if you didn't have.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you know, I'm sure that the plaza, somebody asked me in the neighborhood today if the plaza was open for walking in it,
No.
as though it's closed.
No, it is completely closed. There are some leg establishments that are open, such as Cheesecake Factory. The Target store is opened. There are plans possibly next week to reopen for curbside delivery. Curbside and pickup and delivery would be California Pizza Kitchen and Amy, what was the other one? California Pizza Kitchen?
California Pizza, I gotta call them tomorrow because of the time difference.
California Pizza Kitchen.
Buffalo.
Regina's
Buffalo.
Pizza?
No. The establishments that are leg stores that you can enter them from the outside.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
They will be doing curbside pickup and delivery. The establishments that are inside the food court are not open because the plaza is not open to the public.
Yep.
Okay, so any establishment you can enter from the parking lots that they can offer curbside pickup and delivery. They cannot allow dining in the restaurant.
Yeah. And one other question, another neighbor asked me, they were concerned about the water, the drinking water. Apparently, I didn't see any article in the paper that said that there was a concern with Braintree's water for drinking. So,
Not that I'm aware of, and I would have been the first one notified.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
that's why
I was-
I'd ask you. I'm like, not that I heard of.
No.
I know, I've been out and about, and every once in a while I'll see a sign where it says, they're flushing the lines, and I always tell people, let it run for 5 to 10 minutes, and it cleans out a little bit of the piping, but yeah, I don't know either. I haven't talked to Mark Thompson.
Right, so one thing that needs to be made clear is that the town of Braintree operation, we're still in operation. All of the services that are, or the majority of services that would be provided to the community may still be available, but DPW is still out there working, the building and health department is still out there working, all the departments are still working. The services that they offer though may be somewhat modified, okay?
Yep.
So,
Okay.
okay?
Just to
So
let
again-
you know, when Amy was up, that was my phone because I was having a tough time on the iPad. That was
There was
Amy.
another,
That was
there was another
because
I
Amy
was
on the
afraid
call.
of that.
my phone number.
There was another Amy on the call. Okay, so there was a,
It says it's located right outside the bedroom window. They wrote
that was another Amy on the call. That was not Amy Carey, it was another Amy. So there is a motion to adjourn by Dr. Nettleman. There's a second by Laurie Melchionda.
All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
We need a roll call. Dr. Bergoli,
Yes.
Yes,
Dr. Nettleman,
yes.
and Laurie.
Yes, it's been fun.
Thank you.
Hey, see you guys in a month.
Thank
Good
you very
luck,
much.
Mary Beth.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Leave meeting.
Please.